key concepts about moving layers and the Move tool plus exercise. Welcome to this lecture where we'll talk about the Move tool and moving layers. There's a clear distinction we have to make before we get started. First, it's one thing to move your layers on the canvas like so. Remember, the canvas is this area on the screen. On the other hand, you can also move layers in the Layers panel, thus changing their stacking order. This means you're sending a layer above or underneath another one. So you have to be aware of this apparent duplicity. You'll hear me say, now let's change this layer's position fairly often. How can you tell if I'm talking about moving it on the canvas or in the Layers panel? Well, based on the current context. From time to time, I'll rename, group and clean up my Layers panel. If I then mention moving some layers, it's with regards to their stacking order. If, on the other hand, we're designing a main menu and we just added some text, that's most likely about its position on the canvas. My advice if you're a complete beginner in Photoshop is not to worry too much about this apparent issue because it's really not a big deal. Based on what you see on the screen, you'll quickly understand to what I'm referring. Plus, as we progress, you'll see it will all make sense. Okay? Let's focus a bit more on the Layers panel. You can move one layer at a time, or you can move them in bulk by using Control, like so. If you click again on a selected layer, you deselect it. And like we previously saw, if you hold down Shift when you click on another layer, you'll get all those that are in between the two. This might be very helpful in some cases because it requires less clicks. In the event that you selected too many by using Shift, remember to use the Control key to deselect some of them. If you add folders into the mix, we have to split up based on the Photoshop version you're currently using. Here I'm using Photoshop CC and I have a group of layers. It doesn't matter if the folder is collapsed or expanded, we can still drag an outside layer in it. When we do that, you'll notice it's going to show up inside as the very first layer by default. Let me revert and show you again, this time by having the group expanded so you can see where it goes. So, drag it inside, and there you go. It's the top layer. This is a fairly recent change because if we jump to Adobe CS6 and repeat the very same steps, you'll notice a difference. So, we have this folder and an outside layer. If I drag it in, notice it's actually going to the bottom of the folder, so it becomes the last layer in the stack. Otherwise put, it's the complete opposite of what's going on in Photoshop CC. Let's jump back to it. Okay, since a lot of people liked the old way of working, Adobe kept that possibility by using Shift when you drag your layers inside a folder. So if I simply drag a layer in, it's going to be at the top. If I hold down Shift and drag, then it's going to move to the bottom of the folder, like in CS6. Great, let's continue with the tool. We've already used the Move tool in our work so far, but we'll spend just a bit more time on it since it's the most used one out of them all. Remember to use the V key to always come back to it. There's no excuse not to use this hotkey. What you might not know is that you can use any other tool, and if you hold down the Control key, you'll temporarily switch back to the Move tool. Here I'm painting with my brush, and now I want to move what I've done a bit to the side and then continue painting. Sure, I could use my hotkeys to switch between tools, but Control also works fine. As you can see, the cursor changes and it's easy to toggle back and forth. Remember, if you want to select a layer fast from the canvas, just hold down the same Control key whilst on the Move tool and click on it. Let's see what else you can do with it. You can, of course, use the Alt-Drag technique to make a copy. So hold down the Alt or Option key on a Mac and you'll see you'll duplicate your layer. Going back to actually moving a layer, if you hold the Shift key, you'll move your layer in straight lines or diagonally. This adds to your precision. That's about it. There's nothing majorly complicated to it, but you need to be comfortable with the few things it can do. To get you rolling with it, I've made an exercise for you. This is our deconstructed PSD file, and as you can see, it's a mess. What you have to do is reposition all these layers both on the canvas and in the Layers panel in order to get this result. You have both files attached to this lecture. Please download them now and get started. After you've completed the exercise, resume the course and check out how I went about solving it. But please don't just watch me do it. Pause the video and try it out for yourself, then see my solution. I know some of you may find it easy while others may see it as a challenge. What's important is you have fun with it. Good luck.